All right. I think we're recording. We are here on the Riverside FM official recording studio with Vidy Thatte. How are you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm doing good. Kind of tired. Yeah, excited to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, you were. I feel like you were early on. I'm gonna just search right here. You
Was it
were, if I
Jan 2020 or
It
something?
was,
Or
dude. You were just after, but yeah, January 23rd, 2020. That means that was before the pandemic. That was before we
oh
knew the
yeah, it was
world.
it was right before the pandemic. Holy shit! Yeah.
Do, I remember for New Year's Eve, the night before, not the night, the year before, I was in Flagstaff, and we celebrated the turn of I guess the century or the decade, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be great.
2020.
And then 3 years later, right?
Yikes.
3 months later, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, um, what are you cranking on? I feel like when we first chatted on the podcast, you struck me like a builder, someone that is like prolific in the consumer world, and you just like ship like absolute crazy. So as of now, like, what are you cranking on? What have you cranked on in the last several years? Like, maybe if you just want to like give everyone an introduction to like who you are, what you've cranked on, and we can kind of dive into various projects that you've worked on and what you're thinking about.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's been an insane journey. So I think when we spoke, I was working on a podcast app. I think back then, like everyone was kind of obsessed with audio, and then audio social networks. And I think Clubhouse hadn't started yet. It was like a month or 2 months before Clubhouse. That's when we did the podcast. Um, and yeah, I was just like working on this like podcast clipping tool. And then went on to launch that in August or September. And then worked on that for a bit, and then realized like, oh, like the way we're approaching, we were basically building this tool where you can just clip podcasts, long podcasts into short clips, and then like discover new episodes and do all that. But it just felt like we were building on this like RSS infrastructure, and it just didn't. I was like, oh, this isn't gonna become like a social network or like something like billions of people use. It felt like a nice little SaaS product. So I was just like, okay, we should try a bunch of different things, and then we started working on a music app where you could just make. It was like a phone studio, so you could just make music on your phone. Did a lot of crazy stuff there. We built this like real time. You could jump on a call and then make music with someone, and then had like a real time sync like soundboard kind of thing. But I think we worked on that for like about a year. We'd already raised a bunch of money, but it was like really low. We'd raised about like 200K, and we were like, oh, we should probably raise a bit more money because this is super hard to build. Maybe we should hire someone. And then the pandemic happened. Me and my co-founder, we flew to Hawaii, like work out of there because we were in New York City. It was really depressing. And then I think, yeah, 2021, we basically could raise any money. I think we raised about 25K for the music stuff because like no VC understood like what we were trying to build. So I think around like September 2021, I was just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like, like I'm gonna be like 25, 26 soon, and then like I gotta figure this out. Um, I think for like I think around September I just went on this like crazy like I'm just gonna build like all the ideas that I have in my notes. And then I think one of the ideas that I think I told my co-founder like in December of 2020 or something that somebody should build like a like the music app but for memes so people can make memes on their phone and then like remix memes. I literally like put that whole thing in a day. That was I think was the third idea that I was experimenting with. And then that started like working really well. Like I gave it to a bunch of friends. Like the next day, people started making memes, and then by the end of the week, I think there were like somewhere in the tens of thousands of memes were made by like less than 500 people.
And what was
And
the
that
name of
started.
that? This is the greatest name of a product ever. What was the name?
So it was called Collage, and then we changed it to Rememe after a year. Um, yeah.
Beautiful.
So we started working on, and that was like that was crazy. Like to see something like working on a bunch of products that were barely working, and then this like looking how many like people spending like I don't know like 16 hours a day, like weekend, like whatever, just on there. It was pretty cool. And then like every VC heard about us, you know, everyone wanted to give us money. Everything changed, and then yeah, so we ended up raising a seed round, and then came back to SF, started building this, like hired a bunch of people, did the whole like you know startup thing, and then I think 2 years later. We did a lot of experiments, did a lot of stuff with the meme app, but like it just wasn't working after a while. The retention went down. It wasn't growing in new cohorts, and then we were just like, oh shit, back to the drawing board again. So actually, like I think in Feb 2022 or 2023, ended up like letting go a lot of the like big part of the team, kind of scaled down to just 3 of us. And then we're just like, you know what, like our investors were super supportive. They were just like, yeah, just, you know, like we believe in you guys, you know, it's still a seed stage company, like just try a bunch of experiments, see what works. And we're just like, okay, we're just going to like make a list of crazy ideas and just build it out and like get into that cadence of like shipping new apps. So the first app we built after that was this water drinking app. It was like Be Real for Water. We called it WAP. But so you would basically like take a selfie of yourself drinking water with your friends, and then the cool part was you could like spam your friends with notifications asking them to drink water. That was fun. I think we spent like a week on it max. I don't think we spent more than a week. And then we started experimenting with a lot of LLM stuff. So we built this like journaling app where you would start typing, and then it would start asking you questions based on what you typed. So it was kind of this like everyone was building a chatbot, and we just wanted to like explore some new interface where it wasn't a chat, but it was still there and like had context of what you were saying. But this was like back in, I don't think GPT 3.5 Turbo was out. It was still 3.5, and like it was still like super early. Like it wasn't that good. And then we like worked on 2 other things, and then we started like really getting into this like code generation with LLMs. And like that was super cool. And everyone was building like code generation for like JavaScript and web dev stuff. And we come from like the iPhone app, like Swift background. So we're like, hey, we should do something for Swift. That would be really cool. And then that's when like Trace happened. I don't know if you saw Trace, but Trace is this thing where
of course,
you could you could just like type what you want to make, and then it would just like create the like iPhone like front end for it using Swift. We worked on that for a while, so we launched that. That went super well. Started making revenue and everything. But I think within like 2 or 3 months in, we realized like we had the way we'd set up Trace was it would like write code and then like run in like another server, like build the project, and then it would get like sent to this video streaming thing, which would like stream the actual like iOS simulator so that it rendered on your website, on like the website. And that was like costing us like $3,000 per month for like a few users who weren't paying that much. And it was just like, okay, it just felt like this is a cool technology, but it's like it just feels very unsustainable. And also there was this other problem where the LLMs, like this was before Claude Sonnet, like 3.5. So the LLMs weren't that good, and all the expert devs were like, oh, I don't think I'll use this, and all the beginner devs were like, oh, I feel like I need to know a lot more to use this. So it was like this weird like market segment where only people like me would use it. And I don't know how many people there are like me. So we were just like, okay, maybe so like there are two things we're looking at here. We could build like an expert tool, or we could build something for like complete noobs who don't have any coding experience at all. But then they don't really care if it's like a iPhone app or native app or a web app. So we just started like exploring like web stuff, and that's when we started working on web clips, which is basically a way to like make apps on your phone, but these were like web apps. And we spent a lot of time working on it. We like built like this like whole new canvas where you could just drop buttons into like, you know, a canvas, like connect that to a backend and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool because like I think I made like 3 or 4 apps, which all went viral on it. This one app, which like you would upload a picture of yourself and it would guess your height. And, and I think I got like 200K uses, like people use it or something like that. It was crazy, and I was like, man, I just made that in like 2 minutes. This is power. But I think one of the things we discovered with web clips was we could use it, but it's just like when we gave it to someone else, it was very confusing, because again, like I think the LLMs are not there, AI is not there for like complete noob, like person who doesn't know anything about coding to like set up a system, make an app. We're still in that phase where if you know how to code, it'll like accelerate you like crazy. Like you can do anything. You're basically God. But if you don't know how to code, then I think like there's just this barrier still. So we realized that, and we're like, oh man, this sucks. We've spent like 8 months working on this, but we just can't get it to a point where it's super intuitive for someone who doesn't know how to code. And then went back to the drawing board again. Okay, let's just list all our ideas, just ship them, see where we can go. And then we launched, so that was in November this year. So we launched like Monologue, which was like a podcast app. We launched Pocket Journal, which is like a journal app. And then in like a day, I built this like 3JS tool, like 3 apps in December. And then now we're working on this like story, like film creation tool, which I'm actually super excited about. Sorry, super long, winding.
All good.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. I mean, we may have gotten into this on the first interview. I can't remember, it was so long ago, but you're a prolific builder. Like the fact you built so many products in the last 4 years, and you've probably been building before we first chatted, obviously, or else we wouldn't have been chatting. Like, when did you first start building stuff? Like, you know, is this newer, or have you been like kind of like cranking on things since you were like 5 years old?
Oh, definitely not 5 years old. I wish I had started at 5 years old. I don't know. I'd probably be more successful, but but I started in college, like right before like high school, and like the right before freshman year of the summer. I started like, I think I started watching all these like super cringe Bloomberg documentaries of all these founders, and then I started reading like Paul Graham's essays, and I was just like, yo, I want to start a company. This is so cool. It's like such a creative like thing to do, and like, you know, create an impact on the world. But I figured like the best thing to do is like learn how to build stuff, because then I wouldn't have to rely on anyone to turn my ideas into products. So yeah, this was like, yeah, right after high school.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got into startups my senior year of college, and I'm like, I always feel like, damn, like if I just would have gotten into this like 4 years earlier or 8 years earlier. But like the thing is, like, there's versions of the world where I would have gotten into startups 4 years later or 10 years later. And if it was 10 years later, I would have just be getting in right now. So it's like, there's only like so much we can do about what we know and when to jump into industries and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Can't control all that.
So I have a question for you about like AI models. It's a selfish question as like a pretty non-technical person. Like, I'm good with software, but I'm not a full stack developer. Like, when a new model drops, are you able to instantly know like, oh, like this is better than that, and here's why, and this is what it implies? Or like, help me understand, like you said Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and I've heard it's much better for coding than ChatGPT. Like, is it obvious when you see the specs, or do you just know when you use it? Help me understand that from like the technical point of view as someone who's not technical myself.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. Usually when a new model launches, I'm kind of a late adopter. I never try anything. I'm just like, we'll see. I didn't try Claude Sonnet until like, which is, I don't know if I'll ever spend this long waiting to try a new model anymore, but I don't think I tried it for like 2-3 months. I don't even know how that happened, but but yeah, like I think I'm definitely a late adopter when it comes to things like this. I just let other people try it out and see, you know, what they have to say about it, and then if everyone's like really hyping it up and like, okay, this is it, I go try it out. I don't think I even like started using Cursor like until like middle of this year, and then once I started using it, I was just like, oh, this is nuts. This is game changing. So yeah, I think usually when a new model comes out, for me at least, like they say, oh, this is great for code generation and all that, like specs and everything. But I just like wait it out and see how other people use it, and you know, like people play around with it and like come up with ways of using it that that you can adopt into your workflow. Yeah, I don't know.
You're almost like a one-person Apple. I feel like Apple, they let other companies launch new technology and try out things until they're like, okay, we're ready, and then they launch it. Usually kill them, but the Apple Vision Pro, I mean, I think they'll end up winning. I think they'll end up winning every market ever because I think it's Apple. But like, it's just funny how they just wait, and you're kind of doing the same thing. For me, I just like, I don't know if I can trust like the crowd's opinion, not because they're wrong by any means, but I feel like with AI, especially being non-technical, so I'm not able to do like some like individual research on each of these like models.
Yeah,
everyone just says everything's the best, and this is gonna kill developers, and this is this, and I'm just like, what can I trust? So I just, there's individual people on Twitter that I follow that I'm like, okay, I generally like trust this person's view. But it's hard when the crowd is saying like, this is the thing, and then for non-technical things, there might be, I'm sure that you and I both know companies that everyone was probably shilling that like I thought secretly that like this is gonna like die very soon, but like that's not popular for the crowd, and then like they die, and then people are like, oh, who would have guessed? So it's like, I don't know, it's hard to know what's gonna work and what's not. Oh
yeah, there's a lot of hype for sure. I do think like kind of being late adopter and then like trying it out yourself and seeing if it works for you. Then why not use it? Yeah.
that was my experience with even like Claude versus ChatGPT. I use them for like sales prompts. I do sales for Product Hunt. And now I do. It's crazy. Like 4 years ago, I was just like launching stuff on Product Hunt. Now I'm like helping running it, which is lots of fun. But I just like, I was using Claude for a bit, and I'm just like, I feel like I want to see what else is out there, like for giving me different examples of sales prompts. So I've tried ChatGPT, and I'm like, this is a little better. Is it like a subconscious bias because like I like Sam Altman and I like YZ? Maybe, or maybe it's just like genuinely better. But like I feel like just trying it for myself and being like, oh, like I feel better with these results, I'm gonna go with this, versus just saying, reading like, oh, like Claude's better for this and ChatGPT's better for that. It's like hard to follow that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've noticed that Claude is actually pretty good for like writing as well. But if I have like
how so,
anything,
like long form or like individual posts, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I think anything related to writing, like even if I have to like craft some kind of like prompts for image generation or something, I just use Claude. But when it comes to, I feel like just general, I just want to ask a question about something, and I think Claude feels a lot more restrictive. There are things that it'll be like, oh, I can't say this, but ChatGPT like it feels a lot more free to personally.
I feel like that's a feature. Some would think that's a feature. Some would think that's a bug, because Claude is like they're Anthropic built Claude, and Anthropic is like they're trying to be like the ethical AI, the AI that's like going to be good for the long term and the future of the world, versus like being the AI that just is destruction. And it'll be like I do think that Sam Altman is like slightly turned into like a little bit of like a more villainy type person than he was like 5 years ago. Not even based on anything he did or said, but I just think that's the way things are rolling. Or maybe it could be what he's done. Like he's trying to like turn the thing into a for-profit, screw Elon Musk. Like I don't really know what went down. Of course, none of us do.
Yeah.
But it's like interesting to see which model, like not in 5 years, but like in 20 years, will be the one that we all use, or will we use many? Like, do you have a thought on that? Like, is there going to be one model that reigns supreme, or is it going to be a network of various models for different use cases?
I feel like we're going to use a bunch of different models. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. And I think there's going to be more and more models coming out, and any task we have to do, we just pick like the best one for that task.
Totally. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm also excited for when it gets to the level where a like slightly technical person, but not super technical, can use it. I think I'm going to just kind of go crazy. Maybe that won't be good for my attention span, but we'll see. So I got a couple questions for you about like just the journey. If you're open to sharing, if you're not open to sharing anything, just let me know. But like, so I feel like a lot of founders, myself included, like, I had a vision for my last company, Seed Scout. I raised some money for Seed Scout. I pushed hard. I did a lot of experiments on kind of that entity. And then, unfortunately, last month I decided to wind it down for various reasons.
That's so hard.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think it will allow me to I think I just had to make the decision, or else it just like I think it was something I had to do, and I'm glad that I did it, and I'm looking forward to like kind of having a stable life for a little bit with with my new family and whatnot, and trying to get in a few years. But my question for you is, have you spun up just like a bunch of different entities as you tried things? Has it always been the same entity? Like, how do you, like, again, you can share as much or little as you want, but like, how do you kind of manage investor comms as you're like trying all these things? Or is it kind of easy? You just like try on the same entity, you tell them something works, something didn't, and you move on to the next idea. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been the same entity since like the last time we spoke.
Yep.
And I don't know what the right thing to do is, if you should be spinning new entities or not. But I definitely want to like, I mean, like we've had the same investors since like, we're like the same group of investors. And I think if I start a new entity, I would have to do like the fundraising process again, and like maybe get a new team, whatever. Which I don't know, it just feels like a lot of work. So, I think with the investors, the expectation going in was pretty much like, yeah, this might not work. We might try a bunch of different ideas. You're essentially like betting on the team at the end of the day. So, yeah, I mean, and I think like they've seen enough companies like pivot like a million times until they find something good. And I hear all these stories too. Like, so it's like not that bad. Maybe our case, we've pivoted way too much. I don't know, but that's what it feels like right now. But yeah, I think it hasn't been like a big issue in any way.
Yeah, I had the same experience. Like, I feel like we probably tried like 6 to 8 various iterations, targeting like all kind of around the same thing, like kind of solve the same problem, like generally like 1 to 2 iterations away of what we did before we pivoted. And I think what I landed on for Seed Scout is like, there's no world where like this target market is gonna like yield like a big company if through revenue, like it might through like a fund model. I don't know if I'm gonna start a fund, but like I'm just like trying to sell these like founders and emerging managers on these like products. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, this is like not what I'm trying to do. And it's not even, my investors weren't even like pushing me like, you got to keep going. They're just like, yo, you like. I mean, keep going if you want to keep going, but like, you just got a kid, and like, I think me having a kid was a pretty big catalyst. If I didn't have that happen, I'd probably still be going, which maybe would be still the wrong thing, maybe the right thing. You never know. Like, there's no one has like a compass for all of this.
Yeah, it's I don't know how people can tell. I guess you can't. You can wing it.
You can't. You try to give yourself a lot of swings, and hopefully one hits, and that's really all it takes. It takes one.
Yep.
So are you like consumed pretty much 100% with this work? Is there anything that you're doing outside of work? Do you have any time for play? Any time for like anything else? Or are you kind of all in on this right now? Or I guess in other words, do you have any like hobbies to take your mind off like work when you're not working?
I think the usual. I don't know, like hang out with family. Hang out with my girlfriend. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like this is like 90% of my attention. I think at this point, it's gotten like more and more intense, where I'm just like, I just have to figure this out, and like I just can't sit still, do anything else. I'm just like working and trying to spend every single like little time that I have pouring everything into this. But I do like work out, and like make sure like I don't neglect those things. But yeah, pretty much just work.
Totally. Yeah, it's kind of what you got to do when you're pre-product market fit, and then when you're post-product market fit, you still have to do that because you have to keep up with the attention and the demand. That's just you get to vacation after post-exit or post-failure.
Exactly. I think like time. I don't know. I just feel like time is super valuable, and it's like what you said. You just want to have optimized for like shots on goal, and just like try as many things as possible as long as you can possibly can, so you can increase your chances. So I think
totally.
like I'm in that mindset. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah.
So what would you say of what you're able to share? Like, what are you optimizing for right now? Like, what are you cranking on? What are you excited about? Like, I know you may not be able to share everything, but like, tell us like, what is the current version of the next big thing like for you?
Yeah, no, I can talk about it. So I it just doesn't have a name, and it's like 2 weeks old. So like a lot of things in the air. But one of the things that I got super excited about was, I think like I was going through this. I was going through TikTok the other day, and then I saw this like person had made a whole like sci-fi like story, with AI generated images and like captions and voiceover. And I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, I really want to know what happens next after watching that whole thing. And then I saw comments, and everyone was like, this is the best thing I've seen. Like, this needs to be a series. Like, I just followed you, whatever. And I was just like, oh, wow, wait. I think the one thing that I've ignored, like, I've been so focused on like LLMs and stuff. There's this whole new revolution happening with like diffusion models and like stable diffusion or video generation. And like Sora came out. This was literally, I think, like a week before Sora came out. And if you go to YouTube, if you go to like TikTok, there's just so many people making like AI, like short films and stuff. And there's this whole industry that's like popping up, and the models have gotten so much better compared to like last year. It's crazy. I think the rate of progress is insane, and it's only going to get better from here. So I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, if I wanted to make my own film, I have to go through so many things. I have to like come up with a script, generate images, make sure they're all like consistent, apply like train my own LoRa's, like create these characters so that they're consistent. And then like use and then convert everything into like video scenes, and then put all that together in like a video editor, and like add sound effects, like audio, whatever. And it was just like a 20-step, 30-step process to like get to something really nice. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can build a tool here and like make this whole thing really simple, where you have all these models in one place. You have all these editing tools in one place, and you can just make a film using AI. So that was the whole idea. And then I think I'll announce something next week about it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm fascinated by, everything you just said, and like really the implications on lowering the friction by 1,000,000,000% to like create things, whether it be movies or creative for a company. And I'm just like, my question always goes to like, what are the implications? Like, what is, if everyone can make a movie, where does the puck go? I think those questions drive me mad, because like there's never an answer, and once the puck is there, I'm thinking about the next thing. But like, do you think about that at all, or you just think about like, let's get this tech great and like let's like build this? Like, how do you think about where the puck is going versus like where you are now?
I love thinking about where the puck is going, but I also realize like that doesn't really matter at all. Like, just get it out there. But I love thinking about it all the time.
It's fun to think about, but it's not super productive.
Yeah. I think I was rewatching the Dark Knight movie, like where I don't know if you remember the opening scene where they rob the bank.
Sure.
And I was just watching it, I was like, man, I feel like one day we're gonna look at this. I think this is controversial. If someone listens to this, they'll be like, what the hell? But I feel like in a few years we're gonna look back and be like, I can't believe we used actual human beings as actors. I feel like it's gonna get to that stage like really fast.
Do you think? So one thing I pontificate on, in a probably not helpful way, but I still think about it, is like one of the benefits of humans is like there's humans that like we follow. Like if Tom Cruise is in a movie, I'm gonna watch it. Or like James Bond, like when there's a new James Bond, if it's an actor, we're gonna watch it, etc. Like, do you think that? Again, this is like going into the thing that's like more fun to think about than, but like not necessarily useful. But I do like thinking about it. Like, do we care about AI characters like we do about human characters, or do we care in a different way? Do we not care at all? Like, what if everything's AI driven and actors kind of like go away? Which I don't think that's a far-fetched idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Do we just build attachments to these AIs, or what do you think?
I mean, whether or not it's AI, it's already happening. I mean, we watch like Toy Story, like we all know the character, like Buzz Lightyear.
That's true.
You know, Tom and Jerry, all the Disney princesses, and like stuff like I don't know. Like, so we already have like I think it's all about like storytelling and world building at the end of the day, and the AI is just a tool to get that done. So I feel like it's already happening.
That's a very good point. That's kind of like when people say, oh, like, we don't want to do these like VR glasses, and then people say it's already happened. Like everyone has their screen in front of them,
Yeah.
everyone in the whole freaking world, right?
Yeah.
It's like that, but even more so, right? Because like animated movies have been, it's essentially like what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Even whether or not it's created by a human in the back or not, we wouldn't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Super interesting. Is
Yeah.
there anything before we wrap up? Is there anything, just two categories, like anything you're working on now or thinking about, or something that's on your mind that you want to share, or that you want to promote, or something that has just been like on your mind during the interview that you just wanted to bring up, or any last words before we kind of go into closing section?
Oh, I think one of the things that I've realized this whole year is I feel like if you know the basics of building stuff like programming and like what it takes to make an app, I think AI is just going to accelerate that like massively, and you can just keep launching new products every week if you wanted to. I think you can get to that stage. That's what I feel like anyway. So I feel like it is worth learning how to code and learning how to build stuff, getting the basics right, so you can actually kind of ride this wave. And launch as many products as possible until AGI happens, and none of it matters.
If someone's listening to this, or even for myself, and they're like, "Great, it's 2025. I want to learn to code." How would you suggest someone learn to code in 2025, or is it the same answer as it always was? Just learn the basics. Like, what would you say in this year if someone wanted to get into this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, when it comes to basics, you don't have to go take a Python class at at college or anything. I think what you need to do is build something and learn everything that goes around, how to build it. So like, how do I build the UI? How do I set up a database? How do I connect everything? How do I deploy it and give the link to a friend so they can use it? I think you should try to get through that whole stage. And I think it's so much more easier now. Like if you get stuck, you can just ask, right? Versus back in the day, like we used to like Google and then search Stack Overflow and like go through that whole process, which is like, now looking back, it's like, no way, I can't believe I used to do all that. But yeah, so it's much easier to learn as well.
And then one more question on that front is would you suggest that someone like uses one of these AI forward tools to learn like a V0 or a cursor, and then they learn around that, just kind of using the tools that are at their disposal?
Yeah, I mean those tools are pretty intuitive. If you know how to use ChatGPT, like you can just use V0. So just get started with V0.
Yeah, I've always convinced myself that I like the social capital and like the people element of business and the world, and like the sales side and less technical. And my head is going towards, the barrier to code is going lower and lower. Where I'm going is like, is it time to finally learn, or is it actually time to triple or quadruple down on the people side, on like the person to person side? And there's not like there's a right answer. Like, I don't have a company anymore, so it's not like there's like an outcome I'm going for. Like obviously, like I want to make a lot of money and help a lot of people and have a lot of respect, but like there's a million ways to get there. But it's something I've been pondering. It's like, do I finally get technical, or because everyone wants to get technical, do I zig when everyone zags? And it's such a useless thing to think about, but I do think about it like all the time. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I don't think there's a right answer. I do feel like it's good to lean into your strengths and like just instead of trying to make up for your weaknesses. So if you think people is a thing, like go all in on it, I guess.
I honestly just want to like interview. I mean, I can't now because I have a job, which is fine. But like I just want to get to a point where me or an AI version of myself, maybe, I don't know, like interviews like 5,000 people like a year or something, and I just like, it's just like this collection. It's like you listen to my podcast because it's like a collection of interesting people and interesting conversations and access. But that's, I don't know, something to figure out in the future.
I mean, that was the whole idea with Monologue, where imagine you had a podcast.
Wait, was that the one? Was that the one where I have a AI interviewing me and then it gives me like the
yeah.
Dude, that was wild. Is that are you still doing that?
It's live. You can use it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, is it going to be live for the foreseeable future? Like, if I like start using it, will it be up or?
It should be. Yeah.
Cool.
No plans on shutting it down. There is one annoying issue with it where sometimes the video doesn't get saved. So if you run into that issue, let me know.
Yeah. I used that once. For people that are listening, essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the experience that I remember is like I pretty much said, here's what I want to do a podcast on. Here's the questions I want this AI to ask me, and then it just asks me, and then it asks me questions, I answer them, and then in real time it like answers in like a pretty decent conversational way, and then asks the next question, and essentially it allows me to just like talk about things I want to talk about without me just doing a monologue, which is hilarious because that's like the name of the thing. It was honestly a genius idea. It really is, because sometimes I just want to share opinions, but people don't want to like. Sometimes people don't want to hear them, but like, if it's like an interview, it's like, oh, like I'll listen to an interview, like, you know, two people, even though it's like not
yeah,
two people.
It feels so much more authentic too. It's like, oh, you're just talking. It's not some like scripted thing.
I really think there's something there. Like, I don't know like where the money comes from. Like I don't know, but like I also do. If someone is using it over and over again, and then like that's where they're generating clips from, like you can probably get some money for them. But like, is there a lot of money there? Like, I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but it was an interesting product when I used it.
Yep.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, it's good having you back on the pod. Do you have any app or Twitter or I guess X or any link that you want to shill or product you want to share before we call it a day?
Don't have any product yet, but yeah, you can just follow me on Twitter, Vidy Thatte, last name. Yeah.
Cool. I feel like you're pretty out. When you ship something new, you pretty much always share it on Twitter, don't you?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
So if you're trying to keep up with this prolific shipper, you gotta find him on the Twitter or the X. Well, it's good to have you on round 2 of the pod, and I'm looking forward to seeing this next product that you're alluding to launch and trying it out.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's a wrap.